please, please let me go. I don't know what he told you yet, but I don't have anything.
Kira's voice cracked, raw from screaming. The rope bit into her wrists, the metal chair cold beneath her. The warehouse smelled of rust and something else. Motor oil, maybe, or blood. She couldn't tell anymore. Her vision blurred with tears as she twisted against her restraints, the overhead fluorescent lights flickering and buzzing like dying insects. Kira, please, just be quiet. Her Uncle Marcus stood a few feet away, his shirt soaked through with sweat despite the cold. His hands trembled as he wiped his face, unable to meet her eyes. The man who'd promised to take care of everything after her mother died. The man who'd sworn he'd help her get back on her feet. Uncle Marcus, what did you do? What the hell did you do? Before he could answer, the warehouse door opened. The temperature seemed to drop. 3 men entered first, moving with military precision, their faces blank. They positioned themselves around the perimeter, hands clasped in front of them, eyes scanning. Then he walked in. Kang Min-jun. Kira's breath caught. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe early 30s, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than 6 months of her cafe's rent. His face was beautiful in the way that sharp things are beautiful. Dangerous, precise, cold. He moved like a predator, unhurried, each step deliberate. He didn't look at her. Not yet. Mr. Kang, Marcus stammered, stepping forward with his hands raised in supplication. Thank you for coming. I know I'm late, I know, but I just need a little more. $500,000. Min-jun's voice was quiet, almost conversational. He stopped in front of Marcus, studying him the way someone might study an insect. 3 months overdue, plus interest, that brings us to $650,000. I know the number. Business has been slow in Houston, but I have deals pending. I just need time. Min-jun's lips curved slightly, but it wasn't a smile. Everyone needs time. Time is the most expensive thing in the world, Marcus. More expensive than money. He finally turned to look at Kira. His eyes were dead. Completely, utterly dead. Like looking into a frozen lake. He circled her chair slowly, and Kira felt her skin crawl. She tried to shrink away, but there was nowhere to go. He studied her like she was merchandise. His gaze clinical, assessing. She's valuable, I promise, Marcus said desperately, his words tumbling over each other. She worked in New York before Chicago. She went to college. She's educated. She ran her own business. I don't care about her resume. Min-jun stopped circling, standing directly in front of Kira now. He was close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and clean. You owe me $500,000. Can she pay that? No, but then what use is she to me? Kira's heart hammered against her ribs. She forced herself to look up at him, to meet those dead eyes. I didn't do anything. I don't know what he owes you, but I'm not part of this. Min-jun tilted his head slightly, the first sign of anything resembling interest crossing his face. You're his niece. That doesn't mean family debts are inherited. He said it like he was explaining basic math to a child. Your uncle made a transaction he couldn't honor. Someone has to pay. This is insane. Kira pulled against the ropes, her voice rising. You can't just... This is kidnapping. This is... Please, Kira, don't make this worse, Marcus pleaded. Min-jun held up one hand, silencing them both. He checked his watch. A Patek Philippe, Kira noticed distantly, then looked back at Marcus. 1 week, he said. Bring me my money, or she dies. The words hung in the air like smoke. Marcus went white. 1 week! Mr. Kang, please, I need at least a month to... You've had 3 months. Min-jun's voice didn't rise, didn't change, inflection at all. That somehow made it more terrifying. I'm being generous. 1 week, 7 days. After that, he glanced at Kira, then back to Marcus. Well, you understand consequences. He nodded to his men and turned toward the door. Wait, Kira screamed. Wait, you can't just... I have rights. I'm an American citizen, you can't... Min-jun paused at the door. He didn't turn around. Take her to the car. No, please. Uncle Marcus. Marcus, don't let them... But Marcus just stood there, tears streaming down his face as two of Minjun's men cut through her ropes and hauled her to her feet. She fought, kicking and screaming, but they moved her effortlessly, professionally, like they'd done this 1,000 times before. The last thing she saw before they pulled a hood over her head was her uncle, standing alone in that empty warehouse, watching her disappear. The hood came off in an elevator. Kira blinked against the sudden brightness, disoriented, mirrored. Walls surrounded her, reflecting her terrified face back at her in infinite regress. One of the men, the one who seemed to be in charge, stood beside her, his hand firmly on her arm. The elevator was playing soft jazz. The absurdity of it made her want to laugh or cry or both. The numbers climbed, 25, 26, 27. They didn't stop until 42. The doors opened directly into a penthouse. Kira's breath caught despite everything. Floor-to-ceiling windows dominated the far wall, offering a panoramic view of Seoul spread out below like a galaxy of lights. The Han River wound through the city like a dark ribbon. The apartment itself was massive. All clean lines and expensive furniture, the kind of minimalist luxury that screamed old money. This way. The man guided her down a hallway, past closed doors, until they reached a bedroom. He opened it and gestured for her to enter. The room was beautiful. King-sized bed with crisp white linens, another wall of windows, an ensuite bathroom, visible through an open door. It looked like a 5-star hotel room. It looked like a cage. "Don't try to escape," the man said. His Korean accented English was precise, practiced. "The building has security. The elevator requires a code. Even if you made it to the street, we'd find you within an hour." "Who are you?" Kira's voice came out smaller than she wanted. "Tae-sung, Mr. Kang's associate." He studied her for a moment, and something that might have been sympathy flickered across his face. "The bathroom is stocked. There are clothes in the closet that should fit. Don't cause trouble. Don't make noise. Stay out of sight when Mr. Kang has guests." "I want to call someone. I have rights." "You're not a prisoner," Tae-sung said. "You're collateral. There's a difference." "What difference?" "Prisoners have lawyers." He moved toward the door. "Someone will bring you food. Try to rest." "Wait." But he was already closing the door. Kira heard the lock click. She stood there for a long moment, staring at the door, her mind refusing to process what was happening. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. She'd been living in Chicago, running her cafe, serving students their morning coffee and homemade biscuits. 2 weeks ago, her biggest problem was a broken espresso machine. Now she was in Seoul in a penthouse prison with 7 days to live. The absurdity of it finally broke through her shock, and she started laughing. Bitter, hysterical laughter that turned into sobs. She sank down onto the floor, her back against the door, and cried until she couldn't breathe. When the tears finally stopped, she looked up at the windows, at Seoul glittering below her like a promise or a threat. 7 days. Welcome to Seoul Afro Stories. What would you do if you knew you had just 7 days to live? Would you beg? Would you fight? Would you accept your fate? And here's the real question. Are some family members even worth saving? Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Hit that subscribe button because Kira's 7 days are about to get very complicated. Now, let's get back to the story. That night, Minjun came to her room. Kira was sitting on the bed, still in the same clothes she'd been wearing when they took her. Jeans and a Northwestern sweatshirt, now wrinkled and dirty. She'd tried the door handle at least 20 times. She'd examined every inch of the windows, looking for a way to open them, but they were sealed shut. She was trapped. When she heard the lock click, she scrambled to her feet, her heart racing. The door opened, and Minjun stepped inside. He looked different than he had in the warehouse. He'd removed his suit jacket and tie, rolled up his shirt sleeves. The change made him look younger, almost human. Almost. They stared at each other for a long moment. "I need to call someone," Kira said, forcing her voice to stay steady. "A lawyer. My friends in Chicago need to know where I am." "No. You can't just..." 7 days, Minjun said, his voice flat. Pray your uncle loves you more than he loves himself. Kira felt something cold settle in her chest. You're really going to kill me. If he doesn't pay, you're actually going to kill me. Minjun looked at her, and for just a moment, something flickered behind those dead eyes. Then it was gone. Your uncle knew the terms when he borrowed the money. He knew what would happen if he didn't pay. He made his choice. I'm not a choice. I'm a person. You're a consequence. He turned toward the door. You're a monster, Kira said quietly. Minjun stopped. He didn't turn around, didn't react at all. Yes, he said simply. Then he left, locking the door behind him. Kira stood there in the silence, her hands shaking. Day 1. Kira didn't sleep that first night. She sat by the window, watching Seoul's lights blur and refocus through her tears, counting down hours like a death row prisoner. The city looked beautiful from up here, all glowing towers and neon rivers, the Han cutting through it like a dark scar. She dreamed of visiting Korea someday, maybe for a culinary tour, learning to make kimchi from grandmothers in Jeonju, eating her way through Gwangjang Market. Not like this. Never like this. When dawn finally broke over the city, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, she was still sitting there. Her phone was gone. They'd taken it in the warehouse. Her passport, wallet, everything. She had nothing except the clothes on her back and 7 days to live. 6 days now. Around 8 in the morning, there was a soft knock on the door. Kira scrambled to her feet as it opened, revealing a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a neat bun. Good morning, the woman said in accented but clear English. I'm Mrs. Kim. I brought breakfast. She wheeled in a cart laden with food, rice, soup, banchan, scrambled eggs. The smell made Kira's stomach clench. She hadn't eaten since yesterday morning in Chicago, back when the world still made sense. I'm not hungry, Kira said. Mrs. Kim's eyes softened with sympathy. You should eat. Keep your strength. For what? So I can be healthy when they kill me? Mrs. Kim flinched. She set the tray of down on the small table by the window and turned to face Kira fully. I don't know what Mr. Kang's plans are. I just work here. But starving yourself won't help us anything. Kira laughed bitterly. Nothing will help. My uncle sold me to pay off his debts. I'm going to die in a country I've never even visited, and no one back home will ever know what happened to me. You're from Chicago? Mrs. Kim asked gently. The question surprised Kira. How did you... Your sweatshirt, Northwestern. Kira looked down at herself, at the faded purple sweatshirt she'd bought at a thrift store in Evanston. It felt like a relic from another life. I'm African. But yeah, Chicago. I had a cafe in Hyde Park, Kira's Corner. Her voice cracked. Mrs. Kim's expression grew even more sympathetic. I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years. My daughter still lives there, in Koreatown. I know what it's like to be far from home. Something in Kira broke at the kindness. She sank down into the chair, her face in her hands. I don't understand how this is happening. I don't understand any of this. Mrs. Kim hesitated, then sat down across from her. Your uncle... He borrowed money from Mr. Kang's organization 3 months ago for a business deal in Houston. He was supposed to pay it back in 30 days. How do you know that? I hear things. Mr. Kang, this is what he does, what his father taught him to do. Mrs. Kim's voice dropped. But he wasn't always like this. When he was younger, before his brother died, I don't care what he was like, Kira said sharply. I don't care about his tragic backstory. He's holding me. Hostage. He's going to murder me in 6 days. Mrs. Kim nodded slowly. You're right. I'm sorry. She stood, smoothing down her apron. I'll leave the food. Please try to eat something. After she left, Kira stared at the breakfast spread. Her stomach growled traitorously. Finally, hating herself for it, she picked up the chopsticks and ate. The rice was perfectly cooked, the soup rich and warming. It tasted like comfort, like someone cared whether she lived or died. That made it worse somehow. Day 2 started with Kira trying the door handle again, knowing it was useless but unable to stop herself. She'd spent yesterday afternoon exploring every inch of her room, looking for something, anything, she could use to escape or defend herself. Nothing. The windows didn't open. The furniture was too heavy to move. Even the hangers in the closet were made of soft plastic, impossible to weaponize. She'd found the clothes Tae-sung had mentioned, an entire wardrobe in her size, ranging from casual wear to elegant dresses. She was pacing the room, trying to count the exact dimensions for the 100th time when she heard voices in the hallway outside. Male voices, speaking in rapid Korean. Then Min-jun's voice, quieter but authoritative. Before she could think better of it, Kira ran to the door and started pounding on it. Hey, let me out. You can't just... The door opened so suddenly she nearly fell forward. Min-jun stood there, his expression annoyed. He was dressed for business again, perfectly tailored suit, hair styled, that same dead look in his eyes. You're holding an innocent person, Kira said, her voice shaking with rage and fear. I didn't do anything. I didn't borrow your money. I didn't even know my uncle. Your uncle made a deal he couldn't keep, Min-jun said, his tone bored, like they were discussing the weather. That's not my problem. It's yours. How is it my problem? I was deported when my mom died. I lost everything. My business, my apartment, my whole life in Chicago, and I came to Seoul to try to figure out what the hell to do next. And now Then you should have chosen your family more carefully. The coldness of it took her breath away. You really don't care, do you? You could kill me right now and feel nothing. Something flickered across his face, too quick to identify. If I felt something every time I had to make a difficult business decision, I wouldn't be very good at my job. I'm not a business decision. I'm a person. I have friends, a life, dreams. Had, Min-jun corrected. You had those things. Now you have 6 days. He started to close the door. Kira grabbed the edge of it, desperation making her bold. Please, just let me call someone. Let me at least tell people where I am, so when you kill me, they'll know. No. He pulled the door shut with finality. Kira heard the lock click and screamed, pounding on the door until her fists were bruised and her voice was raw. No one came. That afternoon, everything changed. Kira was lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling, when she heard a woman's voice in the penthouse. High and bright, speaking in a mix of Korean and English, laughing at something. Footsteps in the hallway, the click of expensive heels. She sat up, alert. I can't believe you forgot about the fitting. The woman was saying in English. Min-jun, we fly to LA next week. Next week. We need to finalize everything before... The voice got closer to Kira's door, then passed by. Kira crept to the door, pressing her ear against it. Santa Monica for the venue visit, and then we need to stop in Beverly Hills to see the house your father bought us. My mother is already planning the LA reception, and you know how she gets when... Hey, Min-jun's voice, patient but strained. I have things to handle today. More important than our wedding? The woman's voice turned playful. Come on, I brought you coffee from that place in Cheongdam you like. Their voices faded as they moved deeper into the penthouse. Kira stood there, her mind racing. Wedding? LA? She pressed her ear harder against the door, trying to hear more, but they were too far away now. An hour later, she heard the woman leave, her voice bright and cheerful as she said goodbye. Then silence. Kira waited, her heart pounding, wondering if this changed anything. If Min-jun was getting married, going to LA? What did that mean for her? The answer came at dinner. Mrs. Kim brought another meal, Korean-American fusion this time, Kira noticed. Fried chicken, mac and cheese, kimchi on the side, comfort food. Is he really getting married? Kira asked as Mrs. Kim set down the tray. Mrs. Kim paused. Yes, it's arranged. His father and her father made the match years ago. He doesn't love her? I don't think Mr. Kang loves anyone, Mrs. Kim said quietly. Then softer. Or maybe he forgot how. After Mrs. Kim left, Kira stared at the food. Fried chicken and mac and cheese. Her mother's recipe, the one they used to make every Sunday in their Chicago apartment. The one Kira had served at her cafe to homesick students. Something fierce and reckless rose up in her chest. If she was going to die in 6 days, she wasn't going to spend them cowering in this room. She ate. Then she waited for the penthouse to grow quiet. Around midnight, she tried the door handle, still locked. But she'd noticed that Mrs. Kim had a key, which meant the lock worked from both sides. Kira pulled a bobby pin from her hair. They'd missed it when they searched her, and got to work. It took 2 hours and 3 broken bobby pins, but finally, she heard the lock click. The door opened. Kira stepped out into the dark hallway, her heart hammering. She moved quietly, barefoot on the cold floor, following the ambient light toward what she assumed was the main living area. The penthouse was different at night, all shadows and silver moonlight through the windows. She crept through it like a ghost, past expensive art on the walls, past furniture that probably cost more than her entire cafe had been worth. She found the kitchen. It was massive, professional-grade appliances, a marble island in the center, and, more importantly, fully stocked. Kira didn't let herself think. She just started cooking. She found chicken in the fridge, already marinated. Good quality, expensive. She found a fryer, flour, spices. She found elbow pasta, cheese, butter, cream. She lost herself in the familiar motions, her mother's recipes that she could make in her sleep, the comfort food that had gotten her through her mother's death, her deportation, the worst moments of her life. She was so focused on cooking that she didn't hear him approach. Kira spun around, her heart leaping into her throat. Min-jun stood in the kitchen doorway, barefoot, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. His hair was messy, like he'd been sleeping. He looked younger like this, more human, and completely shocked. Kira's voice failed. She gestured helplessly at the stove, where chicken was frying and mac and cheese was bubbling. I couldn't sleep. I don't know what I thought. I'm sorry, Min-jun walked into the kitchen slowly, like he was approaching something dangerous. He stopped at the stove, staring at the food. His expression was unreadable. How did you get out of your room? Bobby pin. Sorry. You picked the lock. I used to lock myself out of my apartment a lot. Kira swallowed hard, waiting for him to call his men, to drag her back to her room, to add days to her sentence, or just kill her now. Instead, Min-jun reached for a piece of the fried chicken she'd already plated. He bit into it. Kira watched his face, her breath held. Min-jun chewed slowly, his eyes closing. When he opened them again, something had changed in his expression. Something had cracked. It's good, he said quietly. His voice sounded strange, rough. It reminds me of this place in Koreatown, LA, near USC. Kira blinked. You lived in the States? Long time ago. Min-jun set down the chicken, then picked up a fork and tried the mac and cheese. He was quiet for a long moment. Different life. What happened? But he was already walking away, leaving her alone in the kitchen with the question hanging in the air. Kira stood there, her hands shaking, chicken still frying behind her, and wondered what she'd just seen in his eyes. It had looked almost like grief. Kira woke on day 3 to the sound of Min-jun's voice, sharp and angry, somewhere in the penthouse. She sat up in bed. Her door had been locked again sometime during the night, though she didn't remember hearing anyone come in, and pressed her ear to the door. The shouting was in Korean, rapid fire and intense. She couldn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. Something had gone wrong. 20 minutes later, Tae-sung entered her room without knocking. His face was grim. Get dressed, he said. Mr. Kong wants to see you. Kira's stomach dropped. Why? Just get dressed. She pulled on jeans and a sweater from the closet with shaking hands, her mind racing through possibilities. Had they found Marcus? Had Marcus contacted them with the money? Or, the thought made her blood run cold, had they decided not to wait the full 7 days? Tae-sung led her through the penthouse to Min-jun's office, a sleek room with one glass wall overlooking Seoul. Min-jun stood at the window, his back to them, his hands clasped behind him. He was on the phone, speaking in clipped Korean. He hung up and turned around. The look in his eyes made Kira take an involuntary step back. Your uncle, Minjun said quietly, has fled to Houston. He left Korea yesterday on a flight through Tokyo. We have people there, but... He paused. He's gone. Kira's legs went weak. What does that mean? It means he's chosen his own life over yours. Minjun's voice was flat, emotionless. It means there's no money coming. It means you're going to kill me. Kira heard the words come out of her mouth, detached, like someone else was speaking. 4 days early. You're going to kill me now. Minjun stared at her. Something worked in his jaw. Why aren't you begging for your life? He asked. The question surprised her. Kira laughed, a bitter sound. Would it matter? You've already decided who you are. Just like everyone else decided who I was when they deported me. She met his eyes. You're going to do what you're going to do. Nothing I say will change that. For a long moment, Minjun just looked at her. Then he said to Taesung, Leave us. Taesung hesitated. Sir, leave us. Taesung left, closing the door softly behind him. Kira and Minjun stood in the silence, soul spreading out behind him like a glittering promise of a life she'd never have. I should give the order, Minjun said quietly. That's the smart business decision. Your uncle defaulted and you're the consequence. He stopped, his hands curling into fists. Why did you cook last night? The question threw her. What? The chicken, the mac and cheese. Why? I don't know. I was scared. Cooking helps when I'm scared. It's what my mom taught me. Kira wrapped her arms around herself. What does it matter? My brother and I used to go to this place near USC. Minjun said, his voice distant. Mrs. Parks. She made fried chicken and sides. All Korean-American fusion. Hyun-suk, my brother, he was obsessed with it. We'd go there every Friday night, even when I had exams, even when he had practice. He turned to look at her. He died in a gang fight outside that restaurant. Someone wanted to make a point to my father. Hyun-suk was 19. Kira's breath caught. I'm sorry. I came back to Seoul after that. My father needed me. The business needed me. I became what I needed to be. Minjun walked to his desk, poured himself a drink from a crystal decanter. I haven't thought about Mrs. Parks in years. And then you made that chicken. And for a moment, I was 22 again, sitting in that restaurant before everything went to hell. Is that why you're telling me this? Kira asked softly. Because you're going to kill me. And you want me to understand you first? Minjun downed the drink in one swallow. I don't know what I'm doing. The admission hung between them. Then don't do it, Kira said. Don't kill me. Just don't. You have that choice. Your father, your business, your brother, none of that means you have to be this person. You don't understand? I understand that you're as trapped as I am, Kira said, her voice stronger now. Maybe more. At least I know I'm in a cage. You've convinced yourself. You're free. Minjun looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time since this started. I'll give you 4 more days. Maybe Marcus will... He's not coming back, Kira said. We both know that. And Minjun's phone rang. He glanced at it, then silenced it. Go back to your room. I need to think. Kira started toward the door, then stopped. That woman yesterday. Your fiancé. Does she know I'm here? No. And she won't. Minjun's voice turned cold again. This is business. It doesn't concern her. But Kira saw the lie in his eyes. That night, Minjun went to meet Hyein at a luxury hotel in Cheongdam for wedding preparations. The ballroom was stunning. All crystal chandeliers and silk draping, with the planner showing them mock-ups of table settings and floral arrangements. Hyein glided through it all in designer heels, making decisions with practiced ease, checking her phone every few minutes. What do you think? She asked. Minjun, gesturing to 2 different centerpiece options. The roses or the peonies? Whatever you prefer, Minjun said. Hyeon's smile faltered slightly. This is our wedding, Minjun. Our day. You could at least pretend to care. I care. Do you? She dismissed the planner with a wave, then turned to face him fully. Because lately, you've been distracted. Distant, more than usual. I have business to handle. You always have business to handle. Hyeon moved closer, her voice dropping. My father says your father is concerned about something. A deal that went wrong? Minjun's jaw tightened. It's handled. Is it? Hoyen studied his face. You know, we've known each other since we were children. I can tell when you're lying. Hoyen, I don't care about your business, she said, cutting him off. I never have. What I care about is that in 1 week, we fly to LA. We visit the venue in Santa Monica. We look at the house your father bought for us in Beverly Hills. We start our life together. She touched his arm. I've been planning this for years, Minjun. Since before you even left for USC. I waited for you to come back. I waited through your grief over Hyun-suk, through you becoming this. I waited. Minjun looked at her. Beautiful, patient Ha-in, who'd been chosen for him by their fathers when they were barely teenagers, who'd molded herself into the perfect corporate wife, who'd lived in LA for 15 years, building connections, learning to navigate both worlds, all so she could be the ideal partner for him. I know, he said quietly. I know you did. Then be here, Ha-in said, with me, not wherever your mind keeps going. But even as Minjun nodded, even as he forced himself to focus on centerpieces and seating charts, his mind drifted back to his penthouse, to a woman in his kitchen, making fried chicken at midnight, to the way she'd looked at him when she said, "At least I know I'm in a cage." He stayed with Hae-in until midnight, reviewing every detail of the wedding, the honeymoon, their future life in California. When he finally returned home, the penthouse was dark except for a single light in the kitchen. He found Kira sitting at the counter, a cup of tea in front of her. Couldn't sleep again? Minjun asked. Kira looked up at him. 3 days left. Would you sleep? Probably not. He moved to the coffee maker, started brewing a cup. Did Mrs. Kim lock your door? Yes, I picked it again. You're going to teach me that trick before... He stopped. Before this is over. Before you kill me, you mean. They sat in silence, the coffee maker hissing and bubbling. Tell me about your cafe, Minjun said suddenly. In Chicago. Kira blinked. Why? Because I want to know. So she told him. About Kira's corner, her little storefront in Hyde Park, with mismatched furniture and walls covered in student art. About her mother's recipes that she'd adapted, the community she'd built. It was mine, she said softly. The first thing that was really mine. And then my mom died, and suddenly my visa was dependent on hers. And immigration said I had 30 days to leave. 30 days to pack up my entire life. Her voice cracked. Marcus said he'd help. He said I could come to Seoul, figure things out, maybe even open a cafe here. I trusted him. He's a coward, Minjun said. He's my family. Or he was. Kira laughed bitterly. Guess that doesn't mean much. No, Minjun agreed. It doesn't. They were quiet for a long moment. Then Minjun said, I'm getting married in a week. Well, in LA. The wedding is scheduled for 2 weeks from now. Congratulations. It's arranged. Our fathers decided when we were 15. Do you love her? Minjun stared into his coffee. I don't know if I'm capable of loving anyone anymore. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. It's practical. He looked up at her. In my world, love is a weakness, a liability. My brother loved too easily, trusted too quickly. That's what got him killed. And so, you decided to feel nothing? I decided to survive. Kira reached across the counter and did something reckless. She touched his hand. Minjun flinched but didn't pull away. That's not surviving, she said quietly. That's just being dead but still breathing. Minjun looked at their hands, her brown fingers against his pale skin. He should pull away. He should send her back to her room. He should call his father and give the order and end this complication. Instead, he turned his hand over and laced his fingers through hers. They sat like that until dawn broke over Seoul, neither of them speaking, both of them knowing that in 3 days, one of them would have to let go. Day 4 arrived with a summons from Minjun's father. Kira was eating breakfast when Tae-sung appeared in her doorway, his expression more serious than usual. Mr. Kang's father wants to see you, he said. Every instinct Kira had screamed danger. Why? I don't know, But you don't refuse, Kang Dae-jung. 30 minutes later, Kira was being escorted into a sleek office building in Gangnam. The elevator climbed to the top floor, opened into a reception area that looked like it cost more than most people's homes. Everything was black marble and chrome, cold and imposing. Tae-sung led her to a massive office overlooking the city. Kang Dae-jung sat behind a desk that looked like it had been carved from a single piece of obsidian. He was in his 60s, distinguished, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. When Kira entered, he was on the phone, speaking rapid Korean. He gestured for her to sit. Kira sat, her hands clasped in her lap to hide their shaking. Dae-jung finished his call and set down his phone. Then he looked at Kira, really looked at her, in a way that made her feel like an insect under a microscope. "So," he said in English, his accent thick but his words clear. "You are Marcus, Colin's niece, the collateral." "I'm a person," Kira said, forcing herself to meet his eyes. "Not collateral." Dae-jung's eyebrows rose. "Ah, she has spine." He leaned back in his chair. "Your uncle was a fool. He borrowed money he could never repay, made promises he could never keep. And now he has fled like a coward, leaving you to pay his debts. I don't owe you anything. Your blood owes me." Dae-jung stood, walked around his desk. "Do you know how this business works, girl? Reputation is everything. If word gets out that someone can steal from me, can default on their debts without consequence, then I am weak. And weak men do not survive in this world. So you're going to murder me to prove a point. I'm going to do what needs to be done to maintain order." He stopped in front of her, looking down. "Although you are beautiful, strong, an African girl with spine, that is rare. Perhaps there is another use for you." The implication made Kira's skin crawl. "No." Dae-jung smiled, a cold thing. "You think you have a choice?" The office door opened. Min-jun strode in, his face a thundercloud. "Father," he said tightly, "why is she here?" "I wanted to see what my son has been protecting," Dae-jung said, his eyes still on Kira. "She is more interesting than I expected. She's my business, not yours." "Your business?" Dae-jung turned to face his son. "Min-jun, you were supposed to handle this days ago. Marcus is gone. The money is gone. And yet this girl still breathes. Why? I gave him a week. That week is nearly up, and you have nothing to show for it. Nothing except a pretty distraction." Dae-jung's voice turned sharp. "You're getting soft, just like Hyun-suk." Min-jun's expression went ice cold. "Don't. Your brother was weak. He cared too much, felt too much. And where did that get him? A bullet outside a restaurant in LA. Dae-jung moved closer to his son. "You came back stronger, harder. You became what this family needed. Don't throw that away now for some girl. I said she's my business. Then finish it." Dae-jung picked up his phone. "I have a meeting in 30 minutes. By the time I return, I want confirmation that the Marcus Collins situation has been resolved, permanently." The command hung in the air. Min-jun's jaw worked. "Yes, father." "Good, take her back. Do what needs to be done." Dae-jung looked at Kira one last time. "You should have chosen your family more carefully, girl." As Tae-sung led Kira out, she heard Dae-jung make a phone call in Korean. She couldn't understand the words, but the tone made her blood run cold. Back at the penthouse, Min-jun disappeared into his office. Kira was taken back to her room, locked back inside. 3 days left. She thought about Marcus, wherever he was. Probably Houston, probably sleeping soundly, congratulating himself on escaping. Did he feel guilty? Did he think about her at all? She thought about dying. Day 5 began with Haein. Kira was in the kitchen making coffee when she heard the front door open, heels clicking on the marble floor. She froze, her heart hammering. "Min-jun!" Haein's voice called out. "Are you home? I brought the wedding magazines She appeared in the kitchen doorway and stopped dead. Kira and Haein stared at each other. Haein was even more beautiful up close. Perfect makeup, designer dress, every hair in place. She looked like she belonged in this penthouse, in this world. Kira, in her borrowed jeans and Northwestern sweatshirt, felt like an intruder. "Who are you?" Hyen asked in English, her voice sharp. Kira's mind raced. You're not the housekeeper. Mrs. Kim is the housekeeper. Hyen moved into the kitchen, her eyes narrowing. And you were here the other day when I came by. Minjun said you were business. I am. Business. What kind of business? Before Kira could answer, Minjun appeared. Hyen, I didn't know you were coming. I texted you. Hyen's eyes didn't leave Kira. Who is she? Minjun. Her name is Kira. She's someone who doesn't want to be here, Kira said, meeting Hyen's eyes. The lie detector in Hyen's gaze was relentless. Hyen looked between them, and Kira saw the moment understanding dawned. The way Hyen's expression shifted from suspicion to something harder, colder. Get out, Hyen said to Kira. Hyen, Minjun started. I said get out, you black girl. Hyen's voice cracked just a little. Go to your room or wherever you're staying and leave us alone. Kira fled. In the hallway, she pressed herself against the wall, breathing hard, listening. How long? Hyen demanded. It's not what you think. How long has she been here, Minjun? A pause. 5 days. 5 days. Hyen's laugh was bitter. 5 days of you being distracted, distant, lying to me. Is she the reason you've been distant? Some African girl you're keeping here? She's collateral for a debt. Nothing. More. Don't lie to me. I can see it in your face. I've known you since we were children. Do you really think I can't tell? Kira heard something break. Maybe a vase, maybe a glass. Handle your loose ends before the wedding, Hyen said, her voice tight with controlled fury. We fly to LA in 3 days, Minjun. 3 days. And I won't have distractions. I won't have whatever this is following us to California. I'll handle it. See that you do. Heels clicked toward the exit. I'll be at my parents' house. Call me when she's disappeared off the surface of Earth. The door slammed. Silence fell over the penthouse. Kira waited, barely breathing. After a long moment, she heard Minjun's office door close. She went back to the kitchen, saw the broken vase on the floor, flowers and water spreading across the marble. She found a towel and started cleaning it up, her hands shaking. Mrs. Kim found her there. Let me do that, the older woman said gently. I can help. You should rest. Mrs. Kim took the towel from her. Ms. Yoon, she's been waiting for Mr. Kang for a long time, since they were young. I'm not trying to... Kira stopped. It doesn't matter. I'll be dead in 3 days anyway. Mrs. Kim's face crumpled. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. Kira stood, her legs weak. He's going to kill me, or his father will. And then he'll marry her and fly to LA and forget I ever existed. I don't think he'll forget you, Mrs. Kim said quietly. But Kira wasn't listening. She went back to her room, locked the door from the inside this time, and curled up on the bed. 2 days left. That night, Minjun got drunk. Kira heard the music first. American jazz, Miles Davis, drifting through the penthouse. She crept out of her room and found him in his study, a bottle of whiskey on the desk, a photo album open in front of him. He didn't notice her at first. He was staring at the photos, his tie loosened, his face more open than she'd ever seen it. Minjun? She said softly. He looked up, his eyes unfocused. You should be in your room. So should you. This is your room. He laughed, a harsh sound. Nothing is my room. This whole place, it's my father's, my brother's ghost. Everyone's except mine. Kira moved closer, saw the photos. Minjun, younger, smiling, in a USC sweatshirt. Another young man next to him had to be his brother, Hyun-suk. They looked happy. LA, Minjun said, following her gaze, before everything went to hell. You looked happy. I was, for a little while. He poured himself another drink, downed it. I was studying business. Hyun-suk was in high school back in Seoul, but would visit during summers. We'd eat at Mrs. Park's, go to the beach, pretend we were normal people. His voice cracked. Then he died, and I came back, and I became this. Kira sat down across from him. You don't owe anyone your soul. I don't have a soul anymore. Minjun closed the album roughly. I killed it, piece by piece. Every decision I made, every line I crossed. I don't want to marry her, Kira. I don't want to go back to LA like this. I don't want any of this. Then don't. You don't understand. He stood abruptly, swaying slightly. Men like me don't get choices. I have a week until my wedding. 3 days until I fly to LA, with Hae-in to look at houses and venues and pretend I'm excited about a life that feels like a fucking noose. Then don't go. And what? Run away? Disappear? My father would hunt me down. Hae-in's family would destroy us. Everyone I've ever done business with would see me as weak. Minjun laughed bitterly. We're both prisoners, Kira. At least you know your cage. I've been lying to myself for years that I was free. Kira stood, moved around the desk. What if we both left? What if we just disappeared? They'd find us. Maybe, but we'd be free for a little while. Minjun looked at her, really looked at her, and something shifted in his expression. Before Kira could process it, he was kissing her. Desperate, hungry, like a drowning man finding air. Kira should push him away. Should remember that he was going to kill her in 2 days. Should remember Hae-in, his father, all the reasons this was insane. Instead, she kissed him back. They made love in his study, then his bedroom. Fierce and desperate and inevitable. Every touch felt stolen, borrowed from a future they'd never have. When it was over, they lay tangled together, dawn breaking over Seoul through the windows. I can't save you, Minjun whispered against her hair. My father will know. He has eyes everywhere. If I try to let you go, he'll... I know. Then give me one more day. His arms tightened around her. Let me have one more day of feeling alive before it's over. Kira traced the scar on his shoulder. A wicked thing, raised and jagged. How'd you get this? A fight in Koreatown, the night my brother died. Minjun's voice was hollow. Someone came for Hyun-suk. I tried to stop them. Got this instead. Didn't matter. They shot him anyway. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm not worth your sympathy. Kira shifted so she could look at his face. What if you are? What if you're worth saving? I'm not. Then neither am I. They lay there as the sun rose over Seoul, knowing that in 2 days, everything would end. One way or another. Kira woke in Minjun's bed, alone. For a moment, she forgot where she was, forgot everything. Then reality crashed back. 2 days left, maybe less if Daejung decided to speed things up. She sat up, saw a note on the pillow. Had to meet my father. Don't leave the penthouse. The penthouse felt different in daylight, exposed, although guards were everywhere, watching. Kira wandered through it, touching expensive things, looking at the life Minjun had built, or had built for him. Family photos on a shelf showed a younger Daejung, a beautiful woman who must be Minjun's mother, Minjun, and Hyun-suk as children. They looked happy, before everything. She was making coffee when her door buzzer rang. Not the main entrance. Her room had a separate entrance to the service hallway. Mrs. Kim, probably. Instead, when Kira opened it, Hae-in stood there. Kira's breath caught. How did you? I have the code to Minjun's penthouse. I've had it for years. Hae-in walked in without invitation, looking around. So this is where he's been keeping you. I should call... Minjun is with his father. They'll be gone for hours. Hae-in turned to face her. I hired someone, a private investigator, from my network in LA. Do you know what they found? Kira's mouth went dry. Your uncle borrowed $500,000 3 months ago. He was supposed to pay it back in 30 days. He didn't, so Kang Dae-jung took you as collateral. Hae-in's voice was clinical, detached. You've been here for 6 days. Tomorrow is your deadline. I know. Do you know what else I found? Out? Hae-in moved closer. Minjun was supposed to kill you days ago. His father gave the order, but he didn't. Instead, he's been... What? Playing house with you? Pretending you're not about to die? It's not like that. Don't. Hae-in's voice cracked. Don't lie to me. I saw how he looked at you. I saw how you looked at him. I've been in love with Minjun since I was 15 years old, since before he left for USC, before his brother died, before he became this person. I waited for him. I came back from LA, gave up my life there, molded myself into exactly what he needed. And you... She stopped, breathing hard. You've been here 6 days, and you've made him feel something. Something I couldn't make him feel in 15 years. Kira felt tears burn her eyes. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want any of this. But you have him. You have his attention, his protection, his... Hyen couldn't finish. If my father finds out what's really happening here, if Daejung realizes, Minjun has feelings for you. We all pay. My family's reputation, the wedding, everything we've built toward. Then what do you want from me? Hyen's face hardened. I want you gone. I want this finished. We fly to LA in 2 days. Our wedding is in 9 days. I won't let you destroy that. You think I have a choice? I think you're a liability. Hyen pulled out her phone. One call to Daejung and you're dead within the hour. Or, she paused. Or you convince Minjun to do what he should have done days ago. You convince him to end this cleanly. He can't let me go. His father? Then you know what the alternative is. Kira stared at her, seeing past the perfect makeup to the desperation underneath. You really love him. I've waited for him for years, Hyen whispered. I've waited through his grief, his transformation into someone I barely recognize. I came back from LA for him. I've done everything right. And still, her voice broke. Still, it's not enough. Love shouldn't require you to make yourself smaller. What would you know about it? Hyen's anger flared again. You're a deportee with nothing. I'm offering Minjun everything. Connections, respectability, a life in LA, away from his father's shadow. What are you offering? A death sentence? The words hit like a slap. You're right, Kira said quietly. I have nothing to offer him except destruction. But you're offering him a cage he doesn't want. At least my cage is gilded. Hyen left without another word, leaving Kira standing in the bedroom, shaking. That afternoon, Minjun returned. His face was drawn, exhausted. Without speaking, he took Kira's hand and led her out of the penthouse. Where are we going? Kira asked as they got into his car. Somewhere my father can't find us. Somewhere we can pretend, for a few hours, that we're normal. He drove to Seongbuk-dong, to a hidden garden tucked behind traditional Hanok houses. The garden was empty, peaceful. Cherry blossoms drifting on the wind, even though it was late in the season. They walked in silence, hand in hand, while Seoul buzzed beyond the walls. I used to come here when Hyun-suk died, Minjun said, before my father pulled me deeper into the business. I'd sit by this pond and try to remember who I was before. A street vendor was selling tteokbokki nearby. Minjun bought some, and they ate it sitting on the grass like children, letting the spice burn their mouths. Kira laughed when he couldn't handle the heat, and for a moment, he looked young, free. Teach me something, Minjun said suddenly. From Chicago, from your life. So Kira taught him African stepping, the dance her mother used to do at family gatherings, the smooth gliding steps and turns. Minjun was terrible at it, too stiff, too controlled. But he tried, and when he spun her under his arm, he was laughing. You look happy, Kira said, breathless. Free. The sun was setting over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of fire. We should go back, Minjun said quietly. My father wants proof of death by midnight. The words hung between them like a guillotine. They drove back in silence, each minute feeling like the last. When they reached the penthouse, Tae-sung was waiting, his expression grim. Your father called, he said to Minjun. He wants confirmation by midnight. He said, if you can't do it, he'll send someone who can. Minjun's jaw worked. I understand. Tae-sung looked at Kira, and something that might have been sympathy crossed his face. I'm sorry. After he left, Minjun and Kira stood in the living room, Seoul glittering below them. I have one more day, Kira said. Technically, my father won't wait. Then we have tonight. Kira took his hand. One more night. They made love slowly this time, savoring every moment, every touch. Afterwards, they lay together, watching the lights of Seoul. Neither of them sleeping, both of them counting down the hours. What will you do? Kira whispered. After? Marry Hyen, go to LA, pretend to be alive. As midnight approached, Kira felt something inside her calcifying. If she was going to die, she wouldn't spend her last hours begging. She'd spent 6 days in this cage. She'd spend her last night free. I don't regret this, she said, even knowing how it ends. I don't regret you. Minjun pulled her closer, and when he spoke, his voice was broken. Neither do I. The clock struck midnight. 1 day left. The final day arrived gray and cold, soul shrouded in winter mist as she stayed in her room. Mr. Kong wants you to stay in your room today, Taesung said. His father is sending people to verify my death, Kira finished. You can say it. Taesung's face was pained. I'm sorry. By afternoon, Min Jun's plan had taken shape. He'd found a body, a woman from one of his father's other operations, similar build to Kira, already dead from unrelated causes. He was going to stage it, photograph it, send the proof to his father. It won't work, Kira said when he explained it to her. Your father will want to see for himself. He's in meetings until tonight. By then he'll know you lied and he'll kill us both. Kira took his hands. Minjun, stop. Please just stop. I can't just let you die. Why, you were going to kill me yourself 6 days ago. That was before... He stopped, his voice breaking. Before I knew you. A knock on the door made them both freeze. Taesung entered, his face white. Hae-in is here. She's calling your father. Min Jun's expression went from desperate to ice cold in an instant. What? She knows about your plan. She's in the living room right now, on the phone with Kang Dae-jung. They ran. In the living room, Ha-in stood by the windows, her phone to her ear, her face composed. Yes, that's what I'm saying. She was saying in Korean, then switching to English, for certain words. The girl is still alive. He's been lying to you. Hae-in, hang up, Minjun said, his voice deadly quiet. Hae-in looked at him, and Kira saw it, the hurt beneath the anger, and then the desperation beneath the control. I'm sorry, Minjun, but I can't let her destroy everything we've built, everything we're supposed to be. To the phone. Yes, I'll make sure she doesn't leave the penthouse until you arrive. She hung up. My father will be here within the hour, Minjun said. Do you understand what you've done? I'm protecting our future. Hoen's voice cracked. I've waited for you for years. I came back from LA for you. I've watched you become this person your father needed, and I stayed. I waited. And now you're throwing it all away for her? I never asked you to wait. You never asked me to leave either. Tears streamed down Hoen's face, though her voice remained steady. I love you, Minjun. I always have. Since we were kids in Seoul before you left, for USC. I love you. Doesn't that mean anything? I can't love you back. Minjun's voice was gentle now, almost pitying. Not the way you want, not the way you deserve. Haein laughed, a broken sound. Then we'll have a marriage like everyone else in our world. Practical. Powerful. That's enough. It's not enough for me. Then what is? Her? Haein pointed at Kira. A deportee with nothing? What kind of life can you have with her? The words hung in the air. You have to go, Minjun said to Kira. Now. I'll hold them off as long as I can. Where would I go? I don't have papers, money, anywhere to hide. I have everything arranged. He pulled out an envelope from his jacket, thrust it into her hands. New passport. Reinstated visa. I have connections in immigration. I called in every favor I had. A plane ticket to Chicago O'Hare. All of it. Kira stared at the envelope, her hands shaking. What are you talking about? I've been working on this since day 5. Getting your visa reinstated, securing your documents. It's all there. You can go back to the States, go back to Chicago, open your cafe again. Be safe. Come with me. The words burst out of Kira. We can both disappear. Start over in Chicago, LA, anywhere. I can't. Minjun touched her face, his hand gentle. Minjun kissed Kira one last time, fierce and desperate and final. Then he pulled away. Go, he said, and don't look back. Mrs. Kim took Kira's arm, leading her toward the service elevator. Kira looked back once, saw Minjun standing in his penthouse, silhouetted against the Seoul skyline, already looking like a ghost. Then the elevator doors closed. Mrs. Kim drove Kira to her sister's apartment in a neighborhood Kira didn't know, speaking in hushed Korean on the phone the whole way. When they arrived, She hustled Kira inside, locked the door, closed all the curtains. You'll be safe here for a few hours, Mrs. Kim said. But Mr. Kang's father has people everywhere. You need to get to the airport quickly. Kira clutched the envelope Minjun had given her, her mind still reeling. What will happen to him? I don't know, but he made his choice. Now you need to make yours. Mrs. Kim left her with food, water, and a burner phone with one number programmed in, Tai Sung's. The burner phone rang. Tai Sung, you need to leave now, he said, without preamble. Kang Dae-jung is at the penthouse. He's furious. Mr. Kang told him you escaped, that he tried to stop you but you got away. But his father doesn't believe him. What's happening? Just get to the airport. I'll text you when it's safe to board. The line went dead. Mrs. Kim's sister, a woman Kira had never met, drove her to Incheon International Airport, barely speaking. Kira sat in the back seat, watching Seoul blur past, this city that had been her prison, and somehow, impossibly, the place where she'd felt most alive. The airport was chaos. Thousands of people arriving and departing. Announcements in Korean, English, Chinese. Kira moved through it in a daze, her new passport clutched in her hand. She made it through security without incident. The immigration officer barely glanced at her documents before stamping them and waving her through. Gate 42, Flight 285 to Chicago. Kira walked toward it like she was walking underwater. At the penthouse, Minjun faced his father. Kang Dae-jung stood in the living room, 3 of his men flanking him, his face carved from stone. She escaped, he said flatly. The collateral you were supposed to kill 6 days ago. The girl you've been protecting. She's gone. I tried to stop her. Don't lie to me. Dae-jung moved closer. Ha-in told me everything. How you've been keeping her here, protecting her, lying to me about her death. Do you understand what you've done? The message this sends? I understand. You understand nothing. Dae-jung's voice cracked like a whip. Your brother died for this business. Your mother suffered for it. And you throw it all away for some black African girl? She's not just... Dae-jung hit him. Minjun's head snapped to the side, blood blooming at the corner of his mouth. You're weak, Dae-jung said, just like Hyun-suk. He died because he cared too much, felt too much. And now you're making the same mistake. Minjun straightened, wiping blood from his mouth. Maybe Hyun-suk had the right idea. His father's eyes went cold. What did you say? He died because he was human, because he cared about people more than profit. Maybe that's not weakness. Maybe that's the only thing that matters. Then you're no son of mine. The words should have hurt. Instead, Minjun felt something like relief. Fine, he said. I'm not your son. I'm done. Dae-jung laughed, a terrible sound. Done? You think you can just walk away? Everything you have, everything you are, I gave you. Then take it back. Minjun pulled off his watch, the Patek Philippe his father had given him when he came back from LA. He set it on the table. I don't want it anymore. You're being foolish. You have a wedding in 9 days. A life waiting in LA. Ha-in deserves someone who can love her. That's not me. Love. Dae-jung said it like a curse. Love is what got your brother killed. Love is weakness in our world. Then I'd rather be weak. For a long moment, father and son stared at each other. Then Dae-jung nodded to his men. Find the girl, he ordered. I don't care if she's on a plane, in a car, hiding in a hole. Find her. And when you do, kill her. Make it hurt. Make it a message to everyone who thinks they can steal from me and live. He turned back to Minjun. As for you, you have a choice. Marry Hyein. Go to LA. Become the son I raised you to be. Or lose everything and watch the girl die anyway. She's already gone. We have people at the airport. We have people everywhere. Dae-jung checked his watch. Her flight doesn't leave for 3 hours. Plenty of time. Minjun's blood ran cold. At the airport, Kira reached the gate. Flight 285 to Chicago O'Hare, now boarding at gate 42. The announcement echoed through the terminal. Kira looked at her boarding pass, her new passport, her ticket to freedom. All around her, people were boarding. Businessmen with carry-ons, families with excited children, students going home, normal people living normal lives. She could be one of them. She could board this plane, fly back to Chicago, start over. She took a step toward the gate agent. At the Shilla Hotel, the wedding venue was a vision of white and gold. Hundreds of guests filled the grand ballroom. Korean chaebol families in the front rows, American business associates from LA and New York scattered throughout. Flower arrangements that probably cost more than a car decorated every surface. A string quartet played Pachelbel's canon. Min-jun stood at the altar in his tuxedo, his face a perfect mask. His father sat in the front row, watching him like a hawk. Hae-in's parents sat across the aisle, beaming. Everyone who mattered in their world was here to witness this merger of families, this consolidation of power. The wedding march began. The doors at the back of the ballroom opened. Ha-in appeared in a stunning Vera Wang gown, custom-made, flown in from New York. She looked perfect, every hair in place, her makeup flawless, her smile radiant, the culmination of 15 years of waiting. She began her walk down the aisle. Min-jun watched her approach, and all he could think was, "This is forever. This is the rest of my life." His phone vibrated in his pocket, a violation of wedding protocol, but he'd kept it on. He didn't look at it. Hae-in was halfway down the aisle now. The guests were smiling, murmuring about how beautiful she looked, how perfect they were together. The phone vibrated again. Min-jun's jaw clenched. His father leaned over slightly, whispered, "Don't embarrass me." In a black car outside Incheon International Airport, Kang Dae-jung's men watched the departures board. "Flight 285 to Chicago," one of them said into his radio. "Passengers still boarding. No sign of the target yet." In the terminal at Gate 42, the final boarding call echoed. "This is the final boarding call for Korean Air Flight 285 to Chicago O'Hare. All remaining passengers, please board immediately." Kira stood at the entrance to the jet bridge, her passport in one hand, her boarding pass in the other. The gate agent was giving her an impatient look. So, did Kira board that plane? Or did she turn back? Did Min-jun go through with the wedding? Or did he finally choose freedom? What orders did Kang Dae-jung give to those men at the airport? Part 2 is coming, and trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next. The choice Kira makes will change everything if you're dying. To know what happens, drop part 2 in the comments right now. Smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications because Seoul Afro Stories is just getting started. We've got more love, more danger, and more impossible choices coming your way. And tell me in the comments, should Kira have boarded that plane? Or should she have gone back for Min-jun? I need to know what you think. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country below. See you in part 2. If you can handle it, Seoul Afro Stories, where love is dangerous and choices are deadly.